Welcome to our exploration of one of history's most significant events, the fall of Constantinople. This event in 1453 marked the end of the once mighty Eastern Roman Empire and had lasting effects on the world. Let's dive into the history that led to this monumental occasion. For the sake of simplicity, the terms Byzantine and Eastern Roman Empire will be used interchangeably. Yes, I know none of the inhabitants called themselves Byzantine. Yes, I know they were Romans. Let's just move on. Constantinople, the capital, was a vital hub for trade and culture, but its defenses were becoming increasingly vulnerable. This, of course, can be attributed to many factors, such as the rise of Islam, countless civil wars. But the one pivotal event that left the Byzantine Empire a shadow of its former glory was the Fourth Crusade. The Fourth Crusade, being the absolute mess that it was, deserves its own video. But the important part for our story is that the Crusaders were responsible for leaving the empire into a mess of rump states, like the Empire of Trebizond, the Despotate of Epirus, until 1261 when Michael VIII recaptured the city from the Latin Empire, which helped restore the empire to, some resemblance of the Byzantine Empire. The Ottoman Empire, founded in the late 13th century, grew steadily under leaders like Osman I and later Mehmed II, also known as Mehmed the Conqueror. By the early 15th century, the Ottomans had already successfully taken much of the Balkans, positioning themselves for the final assault in Constantinople. The Byzantines, hoping to stall the imminent advance of the Ottomans, paid tribute to the Sultan all the way until 1453 when the city fell. The Paleologi, the ruling dynasty of the Eastern Roman Empire at the time, knew all too well that the ambitious Mehmed II would want to conquer Constantinople at some point. So they did what every leader would do in their position. They tried to sell as much of their own and their nation's wealth in order to pay for the city's defense, and went to the Pope to secure support from the West. Keep in mind, the Greek and Latin churches were already in schism for almost 4 centuries at this point, but as always, desperate times call for desperate measures. Pope Eugene IV promised the Eastern Romans military and financial aid in exchange for an end to the Great Schism of 1054, which did happen temporarily after the Council of Florence, which, though it was a smart choice at the time, it created lots of internal division within the Eastern Roman Empire. I'm sorry, but I really have to say something about this. I know it's my first video and everything, but you have to be a special kind of stupid to live under constant threat of subjugation, war, and slavery, and actively try to undermine your king's efforts to keep you alive. Lucas Notaras, for example, the Grand Duke, which is like saying the Prime Minister in today's terms, was rallying the people of Constantinople against the Union by saying better the Sultan's servant than the Pope's tiara. Imagine what was going through Constantine XI's mind when he saw his second-in-command actively undermining his efforts to save the empire. The same thing applies, by the way, to Gennadius Calarius, the bishop who was also so fiercely anti-unionist that he was also undermining the emperor. Keep in mind, after the fall of Constantinople, Gennadius Calarius was made Patriarch of Constantinople by the Sultan on purpose because he knew that he would not get any support from the Pope because he was so fiercely anti-Catholic. Deep breaths, deep breaths. You've got this. Keep calm. Anyways, in April 1453, Mehmed II laid siege to Constantinople. Truth be told, given the dire situation the empire was in, the city was pretty well fortified, boasting massive walls that had withstood numerous attacks, a brand new sexy sea chain, 26 ships, and 8,000 galvanized Christian troops from the Byzantine Empire, the Papal States, Venice, Genoa, Sicily, Aragon, and France. However, the Ottomans brought advanced artillery, including large cannons that could breach the city's defenses. The siege lasted for nearly 2 months, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Within the walls, the citizens of Constantinople faced dire conditions. Food shortages and panic set in as the siege continued. Despite the odds, the Byzantine defenders, led by Emperor Constantine XI, fought bravely, hoping for relief that never came. Because I can already hear the Orthobros typing in the comments about how the papacy wanted Constantinople to fall. Keep in mind that this was at the same time that the Reconquista was happening in the Iberian Peninsula. France was weakened after the 100-year war with England. Hungary and Poland were still recovering after the Battle of Varna, and the Holy Roman Empire was an absolute mess due to infighting. The fact that Pope Nicholas V managed to gather the troops he did was kind of impressive, to be honest. Like, good for him. On May 29, 1453, the Ottomans launched their final assault. The walls were breached and chaos ensued as the troops flooded the city. Constantine XI fought valiantly but ultimately fell in battle. The city was captured, marking an end to the line of succession that started with Julius Caesar and ended with Constantine XI. In order to give a detailed analysis of the aftermath of the fall of Constantinople, I will need to make another video, but the most important effect on a global scale were the rise of the Ottoman Empire as a dominant power and a shift in trade routes, pushing Europeans to seek new pathways to the east, eventually leading to the discovery of the Americas. Culturally, the fall led to the spread of the Renaissance and its ideas as scholars fled to the west, bringing ancient texts and knowledge with them. The fall of Constantinople is a pivotal moment in history, symbolizing the end of the Middle Ages and the rise of the modern world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more historical content.